everyone. Um, Thanks for being part of my community. Thanks for being part of us. Thanks for subscribing and basically being part of this community, being part of Gary Films production. And now we are starting off with our designs with the basics of graphics. So what should come into your mind? We have to first understand what graphics is, okay? And besides that, we understand in graphics, it is better to always work with Google. So we open up our Google Chrome. My Wi-Fi is switched on, so I happen to go here, then click here and search what graphics is. What is graphics design? I won't give you my understanding of it because you may be interested of designing something and you're not sure what exactly graphics is. Graphics design. Here they are saying graphics design is the craft of planning and creating visual content to communicate ideas and messages. Basically, that is it. Because let me say I'm designing a business card. I'm aiming at letting my business get to be known. But then I want to communicate to certain people. So when I give them that business card, it is like I don't have to speak any other word else. So that business card speaks everything I would have spoken to them. Are you getting it? So it is like is the craft of planning and creating visual content to communicate ideas and messages. So we've got that. And what else should come into your mind? Under designing, we have motion, where we design something that is in motion, like we give it life to work. We have where we give life and speaking, like in animation. We have where we have basically modeling, like in cinema 4D, ZBrush, Maya, Blender, and some other stuff. Those are 3D programs. Then we have where we design with pictures, that is Photoshop. We end up retouching, removing pimples. Then we have other programs like CorelDraw, where it is also a vector program. And when I talk of a vector, I'll show you what it means. Then we have a raster program like Photoshop. So basically, those are some of the programs we need to come up with a design. So what should come into your mind before you start designing? What design are you going to make? What is like your aim? If I thought I want to retouch a photo, then I wouldn't go for Illustrator. I wouldn't go for CorelDraw, basically because those are vector programs. So if at all I want to retouch a photo, that means I have to go for Photoshop. That is it. So what should come into your mind if I talk of Corel? Corel is basically a vector program. It is a suite that contains a lot of stuff, editing, photo editing software and stuff. But basically we are going to first concentrate on CorelDraw, where we are going to be basically dealing with the vectors. So in graphics, how do we call it? What should you understand if you hear someone talking of a vector? These are some of the terms you should know. Basically, what is a vector? So you make sure that you're adding on, because if you happen to got this one, it means something else. This is graphic, this is physics. So vector in physics is a quantity that has both magnitude and direction. This is not what we want. So for us, we're in physics. So if I say, what is a vector in? So you have to add on in graphics. So basically, here we are having some definition of vector graphics. are computer images created using a sequence of commands or mathematical. So let us try here. A vector image is a 2D digital image that is often used in graphics design and usually involves void, strings. No. This wouldn't describe it better. So we go here and see examples of vectors. No, we don't want examples, we want the definition. What does it mean basically? So we go here now. Okay. So basically a vector artwork is an artwork that is made up of vector graphics. These graphics are points, lines, and curves. Basically, this is it. And basically, these are shapes. So if one talks of a shape and talks of a vector, let you not be confused, because basically a vector would be called a shape because they are all made of lines, points here. Points, lines, curves, and shapes. Basically, we are going to be seeing that as we continue with our designing. Then another thing we should understand before going too far, what is resolution? Because you will hear me talking of resolution almost everywhere when we are doing our designing. So, what is resolution in graphics design? So resolution refers to the detail of the image, in brackets see image below. Now we don't want to see it. Resolution refers to the detail of an image. Images with low resolution have less detail. Yes, that is right, but not efficiently right. Image resolution is typically described in PPI, which refers to how many pixels. So resolution refers to how many pixels are displayed per inch of an image. The higher resolutions means that there are more pixels per inch, resulting into more pixel information and creating a high quality design. So before you make any design, make sure that your resolution is proper. We have different resolutions for different designs. If at all we are designing for screen, then the resolution has to be 772. We go back here, little bit here. So if we are designing for screen, the resolution should be 72. And if we are designing for print, the resolution should be 300. So basically, and if we go back here, if at all we are designing for screen, remember the resolution should be 72. Then the primary color for screen is RGB, whereby this stands for red, green, and blue. So that is what you should understand before doing any design. Then we go back here where we have said Let me give it some little bit of space. We go back here where we have said that if we are designing for print, the resolution should be 300. Then its primary color would be the primary color. Primary colors for print. C M Y K. Basically, whereby C stands for cyan, C stands for cyan, M stands for magenta, then Y stands for yellow, and lastly K. K basically stands for black. So meaning with these different colors you can obtain the different shades within the print, and with these RGB colors you can make different shades of any other color. So after we understanding that, remember we've talked of the resolution, we've talked of the resolution for screen, we've talked of resolution for print, we've talked of the primary color. So what is next? Maybe we'll try to open our program. We've talked of what a vector is. What is a vector? We've talked of resolution, then pixel. We talked of a pixel, then we've talked of a vector, a shape. We've talked of then a shape and a vector. Let me cut it here, Ctrl, and it is a Ctrl X for cutting. A shape where it is made up. It is made up of lines, curves, and points. And we are going to be seeing that as we design. This resolution is made up of the number of pixels. Defines the quality of an image or art that we have designed. And basically, for an image, it is made up of pixels, whereby if the pixels are higher, then the resolution is higher. The pixels are higher that are contained in that image, then basically it means that the quality of an image is going to be a little bit higher. Then if these pixels are low, then the quality of that image is going to be low. So if at all we are designing it for screen. And which other thing would we try to know before we start, or before we open up our software? Is basically differentiating between portrait and landscape. So what do these two mean? And how is a portrait photo displayed? Basically, let me get some photos here. My downloads. Are you seeing these photos? Let me try to make them a little bit more big. So you seeing these pictures? I got these pictures. I got them from Pixel. It is a free site where you can download photos. So this is a landscape photo. This one and this one. So what makes it landscape? Basically, it is because its height is shorter than its length. So in a landscape photo, we have the length longer than the height. So we go back to our notepad for you to easily understand. For a landscape is when the height, maybe the length of our design is longer than the height of our design. And for a portrait design, here we go back to our photos. For a portrait design like this one, we are seeing our length shorter than the what? The height. So meaning that our height is longer than the length. So we go back to our notepad and notice that for portrait design, the length is shorter. The length is shorter than the height. And basically that makes it a portrait. So we've looked at what graphics is here up. What is graphics designing? What is graphics designing? Designing for screen resolutions and designing for print, their primary colors. Then we have looked at what is included, some other terms that you should be knowing before you start saying that you're a designer. So then let us try to open the software we talked of, that is Corel. So I'll be sharing the Corel. I'll be sharing the Corel suite with you in our description. Remember I told you, so if I told you to be sharing, I have it here. Let me see, in my downloads I have it here. So I'll be sharing this and this. So if I told you I have a 32 operating system, you'll be using this. And for those with the 64 operating system computer, you'll be using this. I'll be sharing them in my description for this video after uploading them to a certain site whereby you can download them, install them, then we move together. I'll be sharing 3 files, this one, and this one, whereby are you seeing these softwares? They're in a casing. This casing hopes viruses not to eat them up. So this one will help you open them. If at all you don't have it, that is winner. Or you can go Google and find it out. So when it reaches here, you say continue. Then I'm using the trial version. I say register later. So we are waiting for our Corel to open up. So remember, I've told you that Corel is a vector programming, meaning that basically we are working with vectors. And another thing is that if, let me say, the difference between a vector, let's find out the difference between a vector and a picture, basically. What is the difference? Because you should be understanding and able to differentiate between the two. The difference between a vector and a picture. Right. Okay, we switch on our internet again. I had switched it off. Load it. Vector, basically, that would be an image is the same as saying a raster. So let us see some of the difference between a raster and a vector. Remember, I've told you a picture is the same as a what? A raster. So some of the differences. Raster images are capable of rendering complex multicolored visual, including soft color gradients, digital cameras, raster images, and all. I'll look out for some differences. Basically, some of them are that if we are to scale, that would be an example. So if at all we are designing and we happen to scale both a vector and a pixel, basically a vector does not lose its resolution. It remains constant however much and however big you scale it. But for a picture, once you scale it, it gets pixelated, meaning that its pixels. Let us try it here. Our downloads again. So if this is the picture, I will try to scale it up. So are you seeing this? As you continue scaling it up, you see certain smaller boxes in it. But if we go back to our software, that is Corel, we happen to create a vector from these are shapes, and this is the toolbar. So if we happen to get any shape and we draw it, we give it a color, then we try to scale it up and see if we see some pixels, or if it gets pixelated. I see it is not getting any pixelation, so it remains constant. So go back. Go back there. We delete this because we never wanted it. We right click, then select delete, it goes off. We don't want this window here, so we delete it off. Save changes, no, we don't want. So after the software opening up like this, mine has froze. So after opening your software like that, you go to File, Windows. You come to File, here, and say New. Before you make any design, you have to be sure of what the design is, of what you want. Say I want to design a business card, I want to design a poster. So what is the size of a poster? On what page do you want to make your design? So you have to know maybe I want it on an A4, maybe I want it with these measurements. You come here. First of all, you first give it a name. I give it mini scripts. Leki cha 1. Okay, so after giving it a name, we are going to leave this preset destination where we want to save our file. Please type in the name of your new destination preset. We don't want any presets here. So we come, how, like, if at all we have measurements that we want to use, or specific measurements. Corel has different templates as you see, and F4 paper sizes, F5, E6. So for papers, the more you go smaller, the bigger they become. So an F4 is bigger than an F5, and it is bigger than an F5 is bigger than an A6. Have you got it? Then F4, F3 extended is like add F3, then they add in some measurement sets. This is our F4. I'm going to be showing you something that we can customize it and what customization means. We come here. We have to be specific with units. Corel is one of the designing programs with a lot of units that you can use when designing, basically, but most of the times they send you stuff measured in millimeters, inches, and basically centimeters. It is hard to send you something measured in kilometers. I've never got it as a designer, but back here, this is what we call portrait. Remember what we call portrait. Then this is landscape. And once you say portrait, are you seeing? Look here. These units start to change. Remember I said for the portrait, the height is longer than the width or length. So meaning, if this is in centimeters, are you seeing? An F4 is 29.7 centimeters by 21.0 centimeters. But that is when it is in the portrait, meaning it is in this form. Back to our downloads. Portrait is this. Are you seeing? The height is longer, the width is what? Shorter. So are you seeing this? The width is shorter, it is 21 centimeters, and the height is 29.7, meaning it is a portrait. Then for a landscape, basically they have interchanged. What was the height has become the width, being 29.7. Then what was the width became the height. We go back to our downloads and look at it. So this is a landscape image where we have the width longer and the height shorter. I've seen it. So that is it. Back here, if at all we want the number of pages, if we want more than one, we can increase it from there, but basically we need just one page. Then here, primary colors. Remember we talked about the primary colors. Here we are designing for print. Basically it has to be CMYK, printing, like we want to print it on paper. Then its resolution should be 300, because remember we want to print it on paper. If we were designing for screen, we will change this to 72. Okay, but we are designing for screen. We are designing for print. Then we keep these to that enhanced. Okay, we don't tamper with anything here. Maybe later when I'll be showing you something, because everything has been said here. So you keep this as they are. Then you press OK. So we form the landscape, that is an F4. But before that, we first go back here. I've not shown you something here. If you open to click new, everything was set as we wanted it before. So if at all, because here we saw F4, F3 extended, and if someone talks of a customization here, Basically, it means, let me say now, like here in the page says, an F4 on an international basis is considered to be 29.7 by 21.0 centimeters. So if at all I want to customize this or make it an extension, the moment I click and change any limit, let me even just change a little, just make it 29, it was 29.7. If I change it to 29.8, that is already customization. It is like I make it fit my desires. So that is it basically. So then I press maybe OK. But remember, I don't want this window. I've already found mine. That was called Manuscripts Lecture 1. So let us try to look at the interface and what the different interfaces, the different things are called. That is where we shall start from after looking at these. So we come here, this is the title bar. Why is it called the title bar? Because until saying CorelDraw 7 evaluation version, then manuscripts, it is containing our title, it is containing the name in which we saved our work. Then after that we come to the menu bar. This one is the menu bar, where we have the different menus where you can choose whatever you want. File, are you seeing what is included in the file? Are you seeing what is included in the file where we have new form template, open receipt, wait a little bit. So where we have to close, save as, then back here where we have edit, undo, manager. So it is called the menu bar because it contains a lot of stuff whereby you can choose. Then we call this the standard bar. Why do we call it the standard bar? Because it is basically having the short form of the menu bar, where we have this one means new. Are you seeing? So it is a shortcut instead of going to file and new that stuff. So we have it here. Then we have this, instead of coming to file then save as, are you seeing that you can come here directly and click there. It pops up this window whereby we can save, maybe there, and save what we want. Give it a name, then save it. Instead of coming here and saying save as that stuff. So we have that. Then the second one here, I call it the properties bar. Because let me say if I click my rectangle tool, I happen to make a rectangle, I see that as I scale it, we are having the properties showing up here. Look here. Look at that. If I try to scale this up or reduce it, we are seeing the different properties as they change. If I happen to click here, are you seeing? So I'm having the different properties as they are being shown there. So if I come back to here, we call this the toolbar. We call this the color palette, where we have our colors here. Then we call this the blocker. It shows us some properties of what we are designing. We call this the scroll. Then here we have the page flipper. If at all we have more than one page, then we are going to be looking at the others as we continue. And this was the lecture for today. So stay tuned in, and remember I told you that if at all you happen to be on YouTube, we are going to be uploading these tutorials regularly on this channel of ours here. That is Gary Films. You go to YouTube, then you search for Gary Films Production. So this is our YouTube channel. So we are going to hear everyone lecture. This is mainly from scratch. So today was our scratch session. So we are going to hear this from scratch, basically. So from start. So we've started from scratch. We've started with Corel. We've looked at the different properties that we can start with when designing. So consider supporting us from here. You come and click on this link. If you find it helpful, you click on this link. Then you can donate. You can donate here anything you feel. Leave us a message, leave us your name. Then we will click donate. Then you can use PayPal or a MasterCard here. Then you donate if you find it helpful. Then you can support us meet our goals here. So consider reading more of it. Then you can join our membership where we have 2 different memberships where you can join this monthly silver tier and the gold tier. So then we have our shop here where we are going to be selling some of our tutorials. They are there for free, or you can consider buying it, and you can buy it any price you want, beginning from $3. Then you can buy it by just pressing here. I'm seeing that the amount is increasing. So consider being part of our community, consider subscribing to our YouTube channel, and we shall be giving you more in music, in lectures, and beat making. A lot of new stuff is yet to be being shown out. So please wait till I come up with a new video, till I come up with something new. I'm going to be creating different playlists here. Like for Corel, I'm going to be putting a playlist whereby you'll be coming here and you find the playlist for what? For Corel here in the playlists, whereby you learn from scratch to being someone who can design something for commercial use that is bought by people. Peace. I love you all. That was the end.